A very, very good evening to everybody present. I'm Himakshi Singh from Food and Drink Processing Expo 2021, and I shall be the host for today. Food and Drink Expo 2021 will be the first physical expo for the food and beverage industry since the onset of the pandemic. The expo will be held at the High-Tech Exhibition Center, Hyderabad, from the 18th to the 20th of November 2021. This expo is being organized by High-Tech Exhibition Center and Synergy Exposures and Events. The expo will be co-located with Bakery Technology Fair, which will be in its 13th consecutive edition. The FDP Expo team has been organizing a series of interactive knowledge sharing sessions for the food manufacturing and technology industry across the last few months. The entire focus of organizing these interactive sessions is to educate the stakeholders and players of the industry about the latest trends and the expectations that the industry and the industry players have. We believe that such sessions can lead the way in providing relevant connects and knowledge to the business decision makers for growth and expansion. On this note, I introduce the webinar for the day, Food Processing Industry, Policies, Opportunities, Innovation and Ecosystem. I take the opportunity to also introduce our esteemed speakers, Ms. Aruna Desari, President, Telangana Chapter, Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Akhil Kumar Gawar, Director, Telangana State Food Processing Society. Ms. Aruna Desari is the President of Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Telangana Chapter, and she is also the Managing Director of Ananya Group, a plastic recycling company established in 2014. The company offers HDPE plastic recycling solutions to industries pan-India. After successfully running the plastic recycling unit, Ms. Aruna has now ventured into plastic induction molding units, establishing 2 such units in Cherlapalli Industrial Corridor. With her knowledge in business management, she has learned to handle tough jobs, including marketing, procurement, and efficient deliveries. In a very short span of time, the company has grown with clientele across major industrial hubs located in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Delhi, and Gujarat. We welcome the young and dynamic Aruna Desari ji to join us and address the gathering with her valuable knowledge on the food processing industry and its future in India and the various policy initiatives. Thank you, ma'am, and welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Himakshi. That's a wonderful introduction. I think I did not really introduce myself to anyone, so you have done a wonderful introduction. Good evening to the dignitaries and all the participants. I'm Aruna Desari, an entrepreneur and a president of Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Let me just introduce about our organization. Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry was founded by Mr. Padma Shri Milind Thamliji on April 14, 2005, on the auspicious day of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's birthday. Our main aim is to voice the needs and aspirations of Indian Dalits to build an equitable society, to instill entrepreneurship among SC/ST youth, develop them as business leaders. We have 29 state chapters and 7 international chapters. Telangana chapter was established in year 2012, January, by our national president, Ravi Kumar, Padma Shri Ravi Kumar Naraji. He has been awarded Padma Shri in 2014 for his relentless work towards development and upliftment of the community. Our members are quite diverse in manufacturing sectors as well as service sectors. We represent in various forums like CII, that is Confederation of Indian Industries, Tata Group of Companies. We are affirmative partner, and we are a member in National Steering Committee, Stand Up India, and also we are recognized by various state governments. We have developed 1,500 SC and ST entrepreneurs as logistic entrepreneurs, and we have attached them to IOCL, HPCL, BPCL. We have been working closely with Telangana government and we have developed 70 logistic entrepreneurs in Telangana with GHMC. DICCI has been instrumental in creating credit enhancement guaranteed scheme, venture capital fund, and Stand Up India. And we have been instrumental in creating Stand Up India teams. And we also played important role in establishing National SC/ST Hub. Credit enhancement guaranteed scheme is wherein you can avail the credit facility from 15 lakhs to 5 crores. And natural venture capital fund for SCs and BCs, you can avail the credit facility from 20 lakhs to 15 crores for the SC entrepreneurs, and from 20 lakhs to 5 crores BC entrepreneurs. And this is also for women, Divyang, and SC scheduled class. And when you Stand Up India, you get financial assistance from 10 lakhs to 1 CR without any collateral for the greenfield enterprises. It's for the first generation enterprises. SIDBI is the nodal agency for this. Likewise, we have many policies, good schemes in Telangana as well. Telangana is ranked #1 in ease of doing business. Telangana has created a policy called TSFPS, that is Telangana State Industrial Project Approval and Self-Certification, wherein if you want to set up an industry, you can apply the statutory license to this TSFPS, wherein 15 days of application, you have to get the approvals, otherwise it is deemed approved. 16th day, it is deemed approved. And also we have other schemes like you get stamp duty reimbursement on purchasing of industrial lands, land cost rebate, power reimbursement, investment subsidy for SC women it's 45%, and men is 35%. For BC women, it's 25%, and men 15%, and as well for the general is 15%. So now the government, Telangana government and the central government are more focusing on food processing and agri-based industries, allied services, one district, one product. So Telangana being the largest producer of poultry and dairy, and we are the largest producer of turmeric, maize, and chilies. The turmeric is produced in Nizamabad. So agro industry is the rich industry, and we have a good export oriented for these agri products. Food processing sector plays a vital role in reduction of wastage, perishable and agricultural produce, enhancing the shelf life of food products, value addition to agricultural produce, commercialization of agriculture, generation of employment. With great support of central government and state government incentives also. Integration, you have integration of backward and forward linkages, wherein backward linkages are integrated pack house, sorting, grading line, packaging line, milk chilling center, chilies, etc. And wherein forward linkage is retail chain outlets, including facilities such as frozen storage, deep freezers, cold rooms, chilies, etc. So business is nothing but finding solution to a problem and generating a revenue out of it. I started my journey in 2015 with recycling industry. And within 5 years of span, I have established another 2 industries in Cherlapalli, which are into packaging. So nothing is impossible. So if you have the determination, if you have the confidence, if you have the go-get attitude, then you can achieve anything, everything in this world. So with this, I think I've explained brief about me and my industry and about our DICCI. So any queries? we can have the queries later.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we will resume.
I wanted to focus more on these policies and all, but anyway, Akhilji is there. So
Yes.
we'll be briefing about the Telangana industrial policy.
So I think what we'll be doing now for the information of the audience, we'll have Mr. Akhil Kumar Gawar giving a quick brief and details, and then there could be a conversation and the Q&A with Ms. Aruna and Mr. Akhil on various topics and queries that you may have. Allow me to introduce Mr. Akhil Kumar Gawar. He is now joined in. I think he was facing some technical issues. Thank you so much, Mr. Akhil Kumar, for joining us in. Allow me to introduce Mr. Akhil Kumar Gawar, who is the director with the government of Telangana, currently looking after the food processing in the Department of Industries and Commerce. He is also leading the Telangana State Food Processing Society. As per his current role, he is responsible for framing the state policy for promotion of food processing industries and food preservation infrastructure. He is working with the Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation to build mega food park and various industrial parks in the state for food processing industries. Mr. Akhil also works closely with Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad to promote upcoming startups in agri-tech and food processing space. Mr. Akhil brings extensive and diverse experience from the private sector, having worked with large and well-known organizations in the healthcare and FMCG domain. He is an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and an undergraduate from IIT Delhi as an electrical engineering major. Welcome, sir. Now I leave the stage to you and invite you to input valuable ideas and thoughts on policies, innovation, and ecosystem for the food processing industry, and hence the opportunity for the food and beverage machinery, equipment, and technology companies in Telangana for their growth and expansion. Welcome, Mr. Akhil Kumar Gawar. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I see that we have quite a diverse audience here. So food processing as such is a very large segment. You can claim anything ranging from a rice mill to a liquor unit being a food processing unit. So there are a lot of ways and means of defining food processing, and a lot of things that can get covered under the scope of food processing, from agriculture to animal husbandry to nutraceuticals, etc. So I generally try to tailor the conversation around the specific needs of the group, because there is no point of talking about things which may not be relevant to everybody. But having said that, let me just try to give you an overview of all possible sectors and all possible opportunities that we have in the state with respect to when we say food processing. So I think Aruna has already covered the core details of the industrial policy as such. So industrial policy of Telangana, under which the food processing policy of Telangana falls, is already a very well known and well accepted industrial policy amongst the states in the country. It's very progressive with respect to the kind of facilitation it provides, the ease of operations that it extends. There are very good incentives also which are available. But having said that, let me just move forward from that and give you a context of what is happening in the state. So there are different opportunities for people who are looking at different scale of operation as well as different type of operations. So and I would like to quickly go over each one of those things. Starting from agriculture-oriented small and micro enterprises. There is a very good policy framework and support infrastructure, which as of now is being done in a collaboration between the central government and the state government through a scheme called formalization of micro enterprises scheme. This scheme is a joint initiative between the Ministry of Food Processing Industries and the state government's food processing department. Under this scheme, we are providing support not just with respect to subsidies, but we are also providing support with respect to creation of DPR, application of those DPRs to the banking partners, getting it cleared from the banks, and then to the extent of establishing the units themselves. So there will be hand-holding support available throughout the process for small and micro entrepreneurs who wants to set up food processing industries in the state. Now, the scheme encourages people who already have some kind of an industry already present. So if there are any entrepreneurs who already have a small unit working somewhere, even if it is a, let's say, a very small flour mill, those enterprise owners, and we how to make it competitive.
Yes, sir. You're audible now. You're audible.
Yeah, I think I got dropped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to tell more about the formalization of micro enterprises scheme. Now, the part of that scheme, what can be done is we can have significant hand-holding support available. So any entrepreneurs who want to explore possibilities on that front can contact my office. And we have a project management unit sitting out of my office in Massive Tank. They can guide entrepreneurs with respect to what kind of projects can be taken up. Priority will be given to people who already have some kind of business venture or activity or enterprise already present in the food processing space. They can expect significant subsidy support up to 35% of their unit, and also support in establishing the unit itself. So preparing the DPR and applying for bank loans also are a part of the facilitation that we extend to small and micro enterprises. So this is one part of the whole picture. The other part of the picture is with respect to people who want to set up large food processing units. Large, when I say, I'm saying scale of being more than, let's say, 5 crores. Now, for those units, typically what we've seen is that the biggest challenge that they face is with the availability of infrastructure, of where can they set it up. People are not able to get good infrastructure to set up and operate their units. Now, what we've done is the state government has come up with this state food processing policy, under which we are developing special industrial areas known as special food processing zones. Now, these special food processing zones will be very well equipped with the infrastructure necessary to set up the units. This is done in a manner that it will accommodate both small and micro units as well as large units. Now, for large units, people can apply for land, and they can take plots which are available in these special food processing zones. For smaller units, they can we will be building plug and play infrastructure, which is basically pre-built sheds which will have water, power, and all the necessary utilities connected, with all permissions already taken by the government. interested enterprises will have to apply for these units, which will be granted on a lease basis, and they can come and start their operation, bring in their machinery and start operations. Now, that is one mode. The other mode, which I mentioned, which is for larger units, is to just straight away apply for land and take land and start their operations in that area. Focus will be given to enterprises which will be operating based on the production profile of that area. So if you are a unit trying to do turmeric in Nizamabad, you will be given preference because turmeric is grown in that area. Likewise, if you are a unit which is trying to develop a groundnut based industry in erstwhile Mahbubnagar region, then you will be given preference with respect to setting up your unit and allotment of land and other infrastructure. On top of the land which is being granted, and this land will be available on preferential rates. So the government has decided not to make any money on these land transactions, and people who come forth in the beginning will also get significant concessions on the land rate itself. So these details that I'm mentioning are part of the new food processing policy that has been approved by the government. The guidelines of these will follow, and I'll be sharing them with the team here, and they can circulate it amongst the participants of this webinar. Uh, uh, there are good incentives which are available. More than financial incentives, I think the whole concept of creating a zone provides a lot of advantages to the units that will come in there. A lot of the ecosystem will already be available. So with respect to warehousing, with respect to transportation, with respect to basic facilities and utilities, etc., will all be provisioned for all the units that come there. Some of these large food processing zones will also be equipped with ETPs, centrally effluent treatment plants, which will also significantly take care of the increasing costs that several food processing units have to undertake with respect to setting up their own effluent treatment infrastructure. Now, when I say this, these zones are going to be large industrial areas. So Honorable Chief Minister's vision is that we should create industrial zones of the order of 1,000 acres and more. What that does is it creates the whole ecosystem around it. So in a zone like that, you will have easy availability of labor, you will have easy availability of ancillary industries, you will have easy availability of transportation partners, you will have packaging industry will be accommodated, your tools and engineering units will also be accommodated, which are relevant to the food processing sector that is going to come there. So these special food processing zones are a very are going to be one of the game changer initiatives in the food processing sector, and will help create very, very effective clusters. Now, where do we stand today with respect to these zones and with respect to these schemes? Is that the special food processing zones have broadly been identified, but not yet developed. So participants may have to look at a time frame of about 4 to 6 months till they can expect these zones to be available to them for them to start doing their activities in these zones. But broad areas have been demarcated, and pretty much all rural districts of Telangana are supposed to get one zone at least. And I think about 18 districts have already been covered with land which has already been earmarked for the special food processing zones. Now, power incentives, water incentives, incentives on tax, incentives on reduction or removal of mandi fee for any produce that is bought for processing directly by the units set up in these special food processing zones. There are going to be over and above this, the units can obviously avail the industrial policy benefits that are there, but they can also avail the central government policy benefits, which are also there, which are quite healthy with respect to some of these schemes. The third thing that I would like to talk about is infrastructure creation in the one district, one product framework. Now, on one district, one product framework, there are each district in Telangana has been one focus product has, or it's a family of product has been identified as a for which any infrastructure which comes up in that particular district will be eligible for subsidy support from Government of India. So, for example, if we consider the nearby districts of Hyderabad, so if you are talking about, let's say, Siddipet and Vikarabad, then fruits and vegetables have been identified as the focus products or of these districts. So any unit that comes up with processing of fruits and vegetables in the Siddipet district or in the Vikarabad district are can get direct 35% subsidy support from Government of India. Similarly, there are other focus products that have been identified. Examples are chilies in Mahbubabad, Khammam area. You may have soybean in Adilabad area, or you may have turmeric in the Nizamabad area, or citrus fruits in Nalgonda area, or groundnut in Vanaparthi, Gadwal area. There are other very, very unique kind of products also identified, like fisheries in Sirsila, and similarly scented rice in Jangaon, I think. But likewise, there are several interesting focus products that have been identified. And enterprises, so I suggest the participants here to go to the website of Ministry of Food Processing Industries and look up the country map on the ODA products that have been listed there, and they can consider projects and initiatives for those products in those districts where they can expect to get significant support from Government of India and government. Other than this, there are several other unique government initiatives and programs which are coming up. For very large projects, any project for there are new definitions for mega project in the food processing sector now. Any project which has an investment of more than 100 crores will be treated as a mega project. Any investment which has local procurement of more than 500 crores will be taken up as a mega project. And any project that has plans of significant procurement from food processing organizations and farmer groups of the state will also be considered as a mega project. For mega projects, the government can make tailor-made packages for the units, and special incentives can be extended to them. That is a different scheme and approach altogether. There are several other sector and subsector specific initiatives which are going to come up. So for fisheries, there is separate initiatives that are planned. For poultry, there are special initiatives that are planned. For the meat sector, there are special initiatives that are planned. For the dairy sector, there are special initiatives that are planned. Those on a case-to-case basis can be shared with interested participants. So I think instead of me going on a rather long monologue, it is more, I feel, appropriate if anybody has any specific things to
Thank you so much, Mr. Akhil Kumar. So what we can do, since we want to have more of a conversation and interaction, is there anything, Ms. Aruna, which you would like to add or maybe comment on before we open the stage for people to ask questions?
I think Akhilji has covered almost everything.
Okay, so we do have a few questions, but then I think since we want it as an interaction, anybody who wants to ask a question, could you kindly raise your hand and we will unmute your mic. We have Mr. Vikas Kumar. Ankush, could you please unmute him? Mr. Vikas Kumar, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, you can ask your question, Mr. Vikas Kumar.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, I am myself Vikas Kumar from Rajasthan. Ma'am, I am Aisha student of ICKB Raipur. Okay. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. I was to say that I am pursuing my BSc graduation program from IGKV Raipur, and I think that today there is a big need of this food processing establishing. Okay, so I would like to know that what are the basic criteria I must consider and what are the basic inputs I must consider so that in a particular area I can minimize the cost of inputs and get the better marginal difference between the farmer which is going to sell the product and he is earning very less, but the between intermediaries are there, they are taking so much higher amount, and this price is going as far as it is going to the retailer. This price is going to be increased up. So I want to know that how I can minimize in this food processing industry.
Okay, so if I'm not wrong, the question that Mr. Vikas Kumar has put forth is a very interesting question. He is asking, how do we reduce the overall outflow, or rather the expenses involved in reaching the food to the retailer? Basically cut down the middlemen and such expenses. How can we optimize the overall process in order to reduce the expenses? Am I right, Mr. Vikas Kumar?
Yeah, ma'am. So, this thing I will be learning very soon because I am just preparing for IIM Ahmedabad for my agri-business program.
Okay, so I think
there will be the better learning skill.
It's a very interesting question.
So if
Mr.
you
Sure. Mr. Akhil Kumar, would you like to take up this question?
Yeah, sure. I'll attempt it. It's not a simple question. It's a very, I mean, had it been simple, it would have been solved. But I know the short answer to this question is that to reduce cost, it is necessary to reduce wastage. So you have to remove wastage from the system if you have to reduce costs and you have to become competitive. Now, when I say reduce wastage, wastage is both in terms of material, also in terms of effort. Unnecessary effort and unnecessary and also in terms of time. The longer you take, the more wastages you create. The more complicated your processes are, the more wastages you create. And if your produce itself is not oriented towards the market, correspondingly, you end up creating more wastages. So it all boils down to doing things more efficient. So if you're able to create an environment where operations and processes can happen more efficiently, things will become more processes and protocols. That is the reason why there are so many intermediaries which are necessary to sustain the value chain. So the question is really on focusing on one item, being market oriented with respect to your activities, and being able to drive down efficiencies. That's a short answer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akhil Kumar.
Sir, one thing I would like to, one thing I will like to add that, sir, but because there is a very lack of this warehousing, and the farmers are also very unaware of this warehousing. So this are going to produce, they are going to be destroyed. So what should be the proper strategy so that they can maximize their profits by storing their in the warehouse?
So Vikas, I think your understanding is very academic in nature. See, the simple answer is you should not produce more than what you need in the first place, so that you actually end up needing warehousing. That's the first fundamental issue, but that's not something in today's world you can get away with. You will have to create more, but it's not necessarily that farmers are not aware of warehousing opportunities, or there are certain product types, or there are certain areas where warehousing is a problem, but warehousing is not the main problem in this country. The main problem in this country is we produce something that we don't need, and we don't produce stuff that we actually need. And I'm saying as a function of time. So, so it's much easier said than done. It's much more complex problem than it is perceived as.
Thank you, Mr. Akhil Kumar. Mr. Vikas, now we will be moving on to the next question by Mr. Milind Pandit. Mr. Milind Pandit, you may unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm Milind Pandit from Dubai. I'm here for the last 25 years, and for the past 5 years, I have my own general trading company dealing into food products, supply of fresh vegetables, and it's basically into perishables and non-perishables. With your introduction about the food zones and everything which you have given, it's really very much interesting. But what I have seen back in India, that things don't take up shape to that level in a professional manner, and that is why we lag a lot. This is nothing against anybody, but from the business point of view that I have been noticing it. Of late, I have been trying to invest into certain kind of industries related to food, maybe into fishing industries or processed food, specifically for exports. But the kind of feedback or the initiative which has been done from the other side is not so positive. What I have seen is more people are interested to export, but then first you have to give me money, I will then send, and whatever products come or something, that proficiency is lacking to a great extent. My basic aim or my basic thing, what I want to put in front of this group is that we have got a lot of potentials, and instead of countries like from Europe, Netherlands is developing to a great extent. I had been there. Malta is one of the area where it's growing like anything, and any such product packed manufactured in Europe has more prominence over the Indian product, where Indian products are one of the best, but the consistency and the long-term availability with the consistency in the quality is lacking. Now, we had talked in between about smart cities. Now, how many smart cities have been done and what is the thing about it is really not known. This is nothing that I am pinpointing or anything like that, but this
Mr.
is
Pandit, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we get to the question, because we have a lot of other people waiting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I am looking from the point of investments, and if any of these industries are open, do let me know. We have a great scale of business overseas, and we can do if we have got international certifications. And do let me know if any of the industries in such line can do this. So do let me know. I am available for anything. My details have also been put up on the form. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pandit. Moving on, we have Mr. Vijay Pulluri. You can unmute yourself, sir. I think we'll have time for just another one question after Mr. Vijay.
Thanks very much. First of all, my thanks to the FTP and then the Telangana state to put this form together. So my question is to Mr. Akhil sir. So I myself, I'm from Telangana. I'm from the Warangal district, background from a family of farmers. So as Akhil sir just mentioned about the Telangana state food processing, special food processing zones, I'm kind of interested to enter into the food processing kind of entrepreneurship. And as a new entrant, are there any specific schemes and support organizations at district level or special food processing society level where I can get hand-holding support and guidance to launch myself into this venture, into this sector?
Akhil sir, this is to you.
Hello, Akhil sir.
Mr. Akhil Kumar? I think he's having a technical issue. Let's just wait for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back online.
Can you repeat the question for me? I could not clearly understand.
Hi, okay, sir. Okay, thank you. I myself, I'm from Telangana, Warangal district, with a background of family farmers. So I'm kind of interested and very keen on to getting into the special food processing zones and setting up a new food processing venture within the Warangal district area. And I did send out an EO recently. The state has sent out an EOI for these special food processing zones, and I did put my details into it as my aspiration to join this venture. My question is, as a new entrant, I've been doing some market research, but does at district level or state level where there is a Telangana Special Food Processing Society or something like that, can get some information about new schemes helping me with DPRs and that kind of support, and the potential market products which I can actually make within the district as well, and setting up my new processing plant processing sector. So I just want to understand that. Where can I get more information?
Akhil sir, do you want me to quickly repeat the question?
No, I'm unfortunately not getting a lot of good reception with respect to the audio quality. So unfortunately, a large part of the thing is becoming repetitive for people. But let me just answer the question. I think I understood what Vijay is asking.
Right.
So Vijay, and this is something that I keep getting as a query and keep getting as a and I get a lot of people who ask me this question of what can they do. Now it's very open-ended question, Vijay. There are two answers to it. If there is, first answer is if there is any kind of government infrastructure or support which is available for people who are willing to explore, the answer is yes. There is a food processing society. I am available. My team is available. At the district level also, there is one resource which is available per district, which the local district rural development officers can point you towards. But the question is not that. The question is really that most of the people that come forth will have to do their own research, will have to look at opportunities which are available in the field and in the market. There is no substitute for that. Nobody will ever give anything on a platter with respect to business opportunities. People can only support, and people can only extend guidance. People cannot make projects for others. Nobody does that. So my sincere submission to interested entrepreneurs is, if they are looking for business ideas, then the best place to look for business ideas is in the market. Go to the market and identify where there are opportunities. Which product do you see has potential? Where do you see that there is lack of infrastructure which you can add? And because these problems are very context oriented and location specific, I can tell you there is huge scope for chilies in Telangana, but you don't know where exactly that scope is and what variety that scope is in. And there are already so many players in the market which operate in that space. So there has to be some problem that a new enterprise, however small, is trying to solve. It's extremely important to know what problem are you trying to solve. And that problem will not be available by somebody sitting in a consulting office. That problem is always found on the field once you get on the field. So to anybody who is trying to identify what areas they can intervene into, is my suggestion is, please go to the market and see where the problem exists. Once you have identified where you want to participate or which area you want to intervene, then the support that is necessary for implementing that enterprise is something that we can give. Now, that support can come in terms of providing land, that support can come in terms of providing subsidy support, that can come in terms of providing some kind of networking and linkages, directing you towards right set of people, but that's it. Beyond that, nobody is going to come and give you a business idea and implement it also.
Thank you, sir. I think it was a well said point. There's a very interesting question from Mr. Purushottam. He says, I have motivated homemakers in nearby villages to get into food processing. They're using normal sun drying for banana to make banana powder. Can we advise him in terms of what is a good machinery which they can use to prepare banana powder, and how can they get loans in order to buy such machinery? I think a very relevant and interesting question.
Yeah, for such kind of technical questions, my suggestion is it's better to write details. And I can put you in touch with the possible experts in the field who can probably tell you which technology works or which doesn't work, both in the government and in the private space. So there are people who know about possibilities and what can work and what cannot work, but it's a slightly more technical question. I personally don't know. So, but I can put you in touch with somebody who does. So it'll be worthwhile if you write with details.
Great. So, sir, now that is what this leads to the next question, which we've been getting constantly in the chat box. What is the best way that people can reach out to your team and you? Via an email, or is there a number if they want to come and meet your team for such inputs and advice? What is the best way that they can contact you?
The best way to do it is over an email. And I can share, I think my email is already available with you guys. You can circulate it with people who need it. Okay. But the best way to do it is to write. And my request will be, when you are writing, please do not keep it very open-ended. Very specific queries are easier to respond to. Very open-ended queries like, I want to do something in food processing, please tell us what can I do. Now, if you put yourself in my position, then it is very difficult for me to answer this question. I don't know about you. I don't know what your skill sets are. I don't know what your strengths are. I don't know what your investment appetite is. I cannot give you an open-ended answer to that question. I would appreciate if the question is very specific, like you asked this one. You are doing banana powder, you're facing certain problems in doing that. You are looking for some kind of a technology solution to solve a particular problem. How can you do that? I can probably put you in touch with one of the scientists in the horticulture university who can guide you into solving that problem. Now, that is something that I can do, but I cannot respond to a very, very open-ended question. That generally becomes a problem. So my request is, please write freely to me, not a problem, but be very specific with the kind of query that you're posing and what kind of help do you need.
Thank you so much. And the last question which I would ask, which has been coming on the chat box again, is there a source or a website which people can refer in order to understand what are the policies and the initiatives, other things?
Yeah, so we will be very shortly, there are a lot of new developments that have happened. So we are putting all of that together into a web resource framework. And we will be sharing those web details with several partners. So CII, DICCI, and through various forums, we will be making that web resource more popular. We will also try to work on making sure that on Google searches also, these web resources are easily identifiable. So that work is in progress. In another couple of weeks' time, I think we should have a very good web resource made available online for everybody to refer.
So can we have your mail ID, because I'm getting bombarded with this question. If you don't mind spelling it out here so that we can put it in the chat box.
Sure.
Yeah, here we go. Can we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. This is for everybody. We're sharing Mr. Akhil Kumar's official email ID. Please feel free to connect with him regarding your queries. And I think on this note, I would like to thank the gathering. We'll end here. Mr. Kumar, do you want to take any more questions? Or shall we?
So it doesn't matter. If anybody has any question, please feel free to
give me a moment. Let me just check in the chat box, because we have received a lot of questions over here. So there's one question from Mr. Ame Gonekar, who is a consultant in food manufacturing and processing. He wants to know about how can he help his clients benefit from the various schemes that the government of Telangana is providing for the food processing industry. How can he join your team or the government initiatives and make sure his clients are able to benefit from the food processing initiatives, policies which are being established?
Yeah, I mean, he should engage with us and understand what there is in terms of the policy and infrastructure and other details, and then he can share it with his clients and then see how it makes sense to any of his clients. And that's something.
Great. I think again that solves the issue when they have your email ID. I think we will end on that note. Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Mr. Akhil Kumar and Ms. Aruna, for your valuable time and insights. Ms. Aruna had to step out because she had another webinar scheduled. The interaction today, I think, defines a roadmap to the future of policy initiatives for the food processing industry in Telangana and the impact it would have for the benefit of employment, manufacturing, and the production sectors in the industry. I also take this opportunity to thank our supporting associations for the FDP Expo, which is the Telangana State Food Processing Society, Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, All India Food Processors Association, Central Food Technology Research Institute, TAPMA, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh Manufacturers Association, National Small Industries Corporation, and last but not the least, FICCI, which everybody knows about. We thank our audience and hope that this talk helps you plan your business expansion strategies in Telangana. To expand and grow in Telangana, please do feel free to participate at the Food and Drink Expo 2021 from 18 to 20th November at the Hightex Exhibition Center. Participate to meet over 3,000 key decision makers and stakeholders from the food manufacturing and processing industry, association bodies, and industry leaders. FDP Expo 2021 is the place for you to showcase your latest equipment, manufacturing machinery, technology, and ancillary services to the Telangana and Andhra Pradesh food industry. Contact our team for more information. Please check the chat box for contact details of our team members. Thank you so much, our speakers, Mr. Akhil Kumar and Ms. Aruna, once again, and a very good evening to everybody. All the best and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you.